So what's up, guys? Thanks for joining us here with Hanging with the Friends. We have Michael and Eric, the rhythm section from Aris.
Welcome,
What's up, guys?
What's up, guys?
Hey.
What's up? What's up?
Thanks for joining us.
We're stoked to have you guys on, man. You guys have some really good music. I don't know, for me, I hear a lot of Tool, a lot of Deftones, Circus Survive, Mars Volta kind of vibe.
Mars Volta, yeah.
Yeah, we really dig your stuff, man.
Oh, thanks, man. That's honestly, you kind of hit it on the head with the artists that we already listened to. Mars Volta is number 1, 2 for me in the books. Just their fear, the psychedelic feel that they can go into, but then they mash up the on the stage improvising just so well, and their live performances are just out of this world, you know. So then Circa with their melodic, just kind of I don't know, they opened my broad, the spectrum of music just so crazy when I found Circa. Just, you know, oh wow, you can mix in really high-pitched vocals with super melodic, delayed guitar, just amazing, man. So yeah, I kind of just try to fill the drums in with that, with Aris, the feel of heavy in your face but clean at the same time kind of thing, you know.
Yeah, it's a beautiful dynamic. I think you guys really captured that. Vic has some amazing guitar licks that he's doing all over the place. You guys' rhythms are really tight, and Daniel's just holding it down with the vocals, man. It's great.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, fellas, thanks for joining us tonight. For everybody tuning in, we're here with Aris, and we're here with the bassist, Michael Ricci, and I'm sorry, Eric Garcia, you're the drummer, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Cool. Now, are you two the founding members of the band?
Actually, no, I am one of the founding members of the band, along with the vocalist, Daniel. We went through, we went through 20 plus musicians on Craigslist, you name it, you know, word of mouth, for a couple of years before we stumbled upon Mike. First, I think we brought in Victor, and then we met Michael, and then we were a full band after that. And even at that point, we didn't really know what was going to happen. It was just kind of hey, if we, you know, we're vibing, let's just keep growing off each other. And here we are 3.5, 4 years later, still writing, still strong, still brothers.
That's awesome.
That's great to hear.
That's great.
And you know,
yeah.
Speaking of Michael Ricci, we actually have this cool bio that was sent over to us. I'd love to just read this for the audience to get a little bit more info on Michael Ricci. Michael Ricci is a professional bassist by night and electroacoustic engineer by day. With decades of stage and studio experience, Michael is known for crafting unique bass lines on a 4-string, fretless, 5-string, and upright electric basses. Originally from Cleveland, Ohio, Michael grew up in a musical family. His pops, guitars, and amps, and mom's Hammond organ were the living furniture. Being exposed to traditional Italian music, blues, and jazz from birth has definitely had an effect on me. My parents bought me my first bass and amp when I was 10 and have been playing ever since. Michael began forming his skill copying bass parts from records with schoolmates in garage bands. We listened to a lot of hard rock and progressive rock, but I also loved funk and Motown bass lines. His early influences are Steve Harris, Iron Maiden, Geezer Butler, Black Sabbath, and John Paul Jones, Led Zeppelin. James Jamerson, Motown bass genius, and Marshall Jones, Ohio Players. I love the Ohio Players, by the way.
Yeah.
However, the Rust Belt did not have opportunities for a young bassist, so Michael relocated to Phoenix and joined a hard rock band, Shaker. While in Arizona, Michael became a partner in recording studio, and after paying thousands to an architect for the studio design, he began self-educating on acoustics and studio construction. Starting with a few small project studios, Michael went on to design and build larger studios, including Sound Designs of Arizona, Mango and Sweet Rice Records, The Vault, and Vibe Recording Studios. After 20 years in the Phoenix area, Michael relocated to the Bay Area in 2003 and worked his way into the local music scenes, forming Universal Groove in 2006, Periscope in 2015, and most recently, Aris in 2017. Aris released their debut EP, Canvas, in 2019 and available on all music services. Michael is endorsed by Epiphany bass cabinets, MXR pedals, and Dunlop strings. Affiliations: ASCAP, Audio Engineering Society, American Acoustic Society. So there you go.
It's a very impressive resume there, bud.
I am truly embarrassed now. Thank you for reading through that. That was painful.
Right on, man. Modesty goes a long way, right? Because I mean, you've been doing this for a long time, and I think that's kind of part of what helped create your sound, right? That you guys got now.
Yeah, I think it takes 10 years to learn one string. So now that I'm 55, I could play a 5-string bass in 5 years. Maybe I could play a 6-string guitar.
I'm still working on the 6-string guitar myself, man. So we'll see.
I heard some of them have 12.
Good Lord.
Oh, man.
Yikes.
Right on. Well, cool, man. It's very informative. I don't know if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, Eric, with your background.
Yeah, man. I didn't put together some quite as fast as I should have, in the couple of days leading up to this interview, but, I'll definitely be prepared next time. My music career goes back a long way as a child, to be honest, just kind of similar to Mike's story. My dad's band actually were platinum records all over the radio. They were Spanish, Latin, romantic music kind of deal. And they did 5 platinum records. They traveled the entire world. They have galore videos to prove of sold out stadiums and playing with some of the biggest Los Tigres del Norte, the biggest bands back in the day. So my dad's done the whole radio, TV shenanigans too, like back in the day. So watching him kind of when their band digressed down and kind of obviously they got older and they stopped playing those big stadiums, but they were playing a lot of local, weddings, anniversaries, quinceañeras, stuff like that. So me growing up around, I would say around 6 to 7 years old, it really started hitting me where I would go with him on every gig, help unload the gear, set up the drums. My uncle was the drummer for all those years. So with my uncle and my dad. And so my uncle would make me, kind of sound check for him. And so I kind of just grew up really around drums, around music, around being up on big stages like that. I mean, they were playing for 300 people, 200 people for large weddings, large gatherings all the time. So kind of being around mixer boards, being around lighting and PA systems and basses and guitars and loading in equipment was just kind of what I was about. And then I noticed my brother kind of showed me the Deftones world, the Tool, Perfect Circle. And so I kind of dove myself into that genre, but still utilizing the fact that my dad had this big bus load of gear, right? So I would use his microphones, his gear, and I have tons of home video too, man, of just me being a little kid playing Mudvayne covers and, in the garage. But that kind of progressed into a lot of the drum off. So I entered the drum off for a few years in a row. Every year I got closer and closer. I got to the semifinals. I won a lot of free gear. I was mentioned on Drum Magazine a couple of times. I've hit close to 100,000 views on some Instagram videos that are still up. If you guys look for them, they're there. And so I've been doing a lot of the daily drum video posts of online, kind of just trying to reach out to the YouTube world and show what I have to offer with my knowledge behind the kit. And I'm working on a few endorsements, believe it or not, behind the scenes. I don't really post much about it, but there are a couple companies that I've went out to LA to visit, and one of them being Soultone Cymbals. So I kind of went to Soultone and I was talking to them for a little bit. And the next one that I'm supposed to be meeting with, if all goes well, is Zildjian. I hope that really goes well, man. I don't like to, count my chickens before they hatch, but my goal in life is to get endorsed by those companies. So I'm still working on my ladder of music, climbing the ladder, man, and trying to get there.
Not a bad goal.
That's awesome.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Very cool.
You
So
know,
I gotta
Mike-
go big with Zildjian.
I didn't realize it, but I was at one of Eric's drum offs at Guitar Center. Thomas Pridgeon, I think, was one of the judges, if I'm not incorrect. There was a
Yeah, he was there. Yeah.
Thompson, the district manager for GC. He was. I met him when I worked for GC Pro in San Francisco. Sid's always a great guy. He's always into the local, music scene. He helps put on the Monterey Jazz Festival behind the But he wound up running the drum department here in San Jose, and he told me, you got to come down. There's some great drummers. I told him I was looking for a musical situation. I needed to find a drummer. I'm kind of bored. I relocated from San Francisco down to San Jose, and he invited me out the night Eric was playing. And I didn't introduce myself to Eric. I didn't meet him that night, but I saw him play, and sure enough, put two and two together and realized I was in a rehearsal room with him some year and a half later, maybe, and was really impressed. Aren't you kind of bros with Thomas Pridgeon, Eric? Don't you see him on occasion and get into shows?
Yeah, so that's a funny story too, real quick. I'll make it short and sweet. But basically, I had scheduled a personal one-on-one drum lesson with him, and that very same day, I had a kind of a tragedy with my family that day. And long story short, I emailed him. I didn't email. I texted him that night, showed him pictures of, I'm at the hospital right now, man. I'm gonna have to cancel the lesson, and I wanted to prove to him, hey, I'm not just flaking for money costs or because I'm nervous, or I really have a family issue. So ever since that day, he remembered me. I kept meeting him at the Stritch Cafe downtown. Every first Friday of the month, they play with Extra Nappy. So we've gone there, man. And, Thomas is 420 friendly, and so am I. So we shared a lot of those moments. And so we talked a lot. And believe it or not, the bassist from Extra Nappy, Tiny, they call him Tiny. His real name's Michael. He wants to jam out, apparently. I spoke to him on Instagram, and he wants to come by. And he is a very talented bass player. Plays with Thomas Pridgeon, a lot of big artists, man. This guy's great. So I just wanted to jam out with him and kind of excel my level of playing with different musicians. And he's way better than me, but hopefully he could help me progress kind of my skills a little bit. So
that's great.
That's great, man. Hey, we'd just like to remind the people that are watching to feel free to chime in with questions, and we'll throw them at you guys. We have one from Alan here. It says, listening to Aris tracks, they sound heavy without having an overly distorted prog metal sound. Was that a conscious choice or a reflection of your individual styles?
Yeah, I think that's a reflection of our individual styles. It's kind of funny that was a question. That's a great question. I think it has a lot to do with our vocalist, to be honest with you. He comes from a very, very broad background of vocals. He comes from doing R&B, from doing hip hop, kind of like a Sublime feel. Then he got into the ska scene. And then he was in this band called the Wet Bandits, which is like a reggae ska saxophone. And that's where I met him. I was actually in the Wet Bandits, did a few mini tours with him. We did the whole Roxy a few times, and I've been to the Whiskey A Go-Go a few times. So we did a little tour with the Bandits. And so me and Daniel's relationship really grew off of that. But yes, I think each one of us brings a different thing to the table, man. My drumming came from a metal background, so I played a lot of metal, a lot of Mudvayne, a lot of heavy Slipknot stuff and all that back in the day.
How did your romantic father feel when you were banging?
Dude, I had my walls covered in just all the Slipknot posters and Lamb of God all day. And so like he would come in and be like, dude, do the whole Mexican cross thing on me and just
¿Qué clase de chingaderas son eso, right?
Exactly. Mexican families, man. Yeah. I think Michael comes with his, jazz background and his, he's done a million projects on the bass. And then of course, Victor's just a shredder with everything he touches. He does lessons. So he does, any type of thing that his class requires him to play, he plays it really well. So we all bring that little kind of something to each song that we write, man. Yeah, I think that's where it comes from.
Very cool. And Mike, I got a couple for you. I guess most importantly, what are you drinking? Someone wants to know.
St. Archer Gold. I'm not endorsed by them. I actually purchased this with my own money.
Checks in the mail, right? Checks in the mail.
So Mike, Matt was curious, what are some of your unique influences that might be outside of the band's genre, and how do you, amalgamate these into the band's sound and your bass lines?
Well, it's a challenge to try to express yourself without overplaying. So some of the musicians that I like aren't necessarily always bass players. They're actually arrangers. So I'm kind of a fan. Used to be back in the day, you know, there was an artist, there was a producer, there was an arranger, right? And nowadays we all do it ourselves, right? So I kind of fancy the arranger's role. And in studying arrangers, which my favorite is Gil Evans, who worked with Miles Davis a lot, and Jaco Pastorius. So Gil Evans's approach was every instrument has a part and there needs to be space. And the song needs to flow. And so when the influence I bring into Aris from that approach is I think about the song not as a bassist who's, you know, maybe put my parts in. I think about what the other musicians are doing, and I think about what the song's trying to be. And then I try to put together as little of a bass line as I possibly can, so there's still space. So I try to do a lot with a little. And so, you know, my biggest influence in thinking about how I approach the band is from an arranger's point of view. So not so much as a bassist, if that makes any sense.
Totally. Yeah.
Very cool. Great.
Yeah, we only have, you know, 3 instruments, so to speak. I mean, Daniel's voice is an instrument to itself. So
Right.
With Victor's approach, you know, he has a metal background, and when you guys talk to him, he'll tell you he was doing a lot of heavy stuff. And I think the first question you had asked about, you know, the heavier sound, he consciously made a decision not to try to duplicate what he's done in the past. And I kind of like that. I kind of don't join the same type of band, you know, 2 bands or 3 bands in a row. I try to skip around styles. And so I think he's only really trying to be a rhythm guitar player, which gives me a little room on bass to maybe play a little melodies, and it leaves a lot of room for Eric to express himself. So I think, you know, the fact we don't sound super heavy is really Vic. He does hit that pedal. He does hit heavy when he wants to. I have a distortion and overdrive pedal. Sometimes they're all on at the same time, but only for parts, right? And it's only for effect. And then they get turned off again. So we don't drown out our singer.
Yeah, it's very tasteful, I've noticed, and what I've heard from you guys. It's not about having anything really stand out. It's more to serve the song. And I think that's a great approach.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, too, to kind of echo what you just said is, to me, when I approach writing drum parts for a song, I do not, I always tell myself, okay, I'm going to play this song live. I'm going to play this song live 20 times, 30 times, 40 times. I have to play that song the same way every time. So with the drums, I really tried to, if I popped in those headphones right now, I would be able to play those drums over those drum recordings the same way that I recorded them. And that's kind of what I've aimed for. As obviously the bass and guitar and vocals did the same thing, but with drummers, a lot is what I noticed is that they can't replicate what they've recorded, or they do and it doesn't sound that great. And that's when I try not to overdo on the drums, is don't get too flashy, because, you know, if you try to do that crazy fill live, you know, every single time for a couple shows on a weekend or something, you could really mess it up. So all those fills are really dialed into just kind of emphasizing the song, and if it's needed, it's needed. If it's not, it's not.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very
Cool.
I got a question for you guys, and I tend to ask this to all San Jose bands. How do you feel about San Jose as a place to play?
It's actually a bit of a scene. I've been around in a couple of towns, Cleveland, LA, Phoenix, Tempe, Desert Rock Sound, San Francisco, down here in the South Bay. And I have to say, sometimes there's something percolating organically. Doesn't happen all the time. It's not continuous. It really has a lot to do with the community of local original bands and the local venues. Really, those 2 things, plus the fans, obviously, have to really have a synergy for a scene to happen, right? So scenes in the past, you heard of goes back in San Francisco with Jefferson Airplane and Santana and the Dead. They hate Ashbury Sound. You can go to Seattle Sound. You can go to REM from Atlanta. You can get all these different geographic areas of the world, really, that have had scenes at different times throughout history. I think San Jose over the last 5 years has really produced a lot of high quality, original, unsigned independent artists who get along well, no egos. People help each other out. We book for each other. We say, who wants to open? Oh, you opened last time. Why don't you go in the middle this time? The room will be full for you guys. It's rare another band will set you up and help you do that. Working with you guys, total professionals, super cool. You stay and watch us play. We stay and watch you guys play. We tell our friends about each other. So that's a scene. And so I think San Jose has a scene. I think there's a lot of good bands here. If I had a ton of money and I was starting a label and the traditional record business was still alive, there's several artists I would pull in out of this area.
Yeah, man. I think San Jose kind of went through a rough patch for a little while, and I think it's kind of starting to turn around a little bit. I obviously grew up playing, like I said, in the metal scene. So back in the day, I used to play in this band called Catastrophe, and we were at the Makla and the Cave. I don't know if any of you guys know any of those places.
I played both those places. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been there all the time. I've been at the San Jose skate ring, and I've been all up and down back in the day when the hardcore scene was really popping. And I think it kind of died, and then I think it kind of went back up again with just you got to find it. I think you have to find that what you're looking for in San Jose. So I think if you're looking for the grungy garage band still getting around, you go to the Caravan kind of deal. If you're can you guys see me still?
We can hear
like
you.
Screen's black. We can hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
You can keep telling your story.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, I think you got to find your scene in San Jose. I think you got to look for it, and eventually, I think you'll find it. But I think it's been around, man. San Jose has some stories, right? I think we all have some stories about San Jose. It's a great place.
Plenty of war
play
stories. Plenty of war stories to go around about San Jose.
Yeah.
Well, didn't you just aren't you moving, Ruben? Aren't you going down south to LA?
Yeah, I before all this quarantine, coronavirus, COVID-19 stuff started happening, the plan is to move down to LA in June, early July. I'm hoping that still is going to be smooth, with everything that's going on with all the restrictions. I'm sure I'll find it kind of difficult to do that if we're still with the shelter in place. But that's the plan, definitely the plan.
Okay, so we'll count on you when you get down there to get invited to the housewarming party.
Right, definitely, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
We'll
Just
close
real quick,
one, and
I'm
then the next
still-
show you guys can close.
Right, yeah.
Hey, we actually can do that now because we have 6 more new songs in the can, so to speak. So.
Oh, cool.
Right.
Are
So
you
how do
gonna?
Here, I don't know why my camera is not working right now, but it said something about cellular data.
Wow.
I don't know
We can
what's
still
going
hear
on,
you.
but I'm
can
still
definitely
trying to
hear you,
get it
though.
to go back on. So just bear with me here.
No problem.
No problem, man.
In the meantime, we'll keep chatting.
How do you
Cool.
guys go about developing your songs? You guys say you have 7 more songs? Do you guys
6, maybe 7. Yeah, it's done. We pack a lunch, grab the hard hat. We show up at the rehearsal studio. Really, it's putting hours in of just jamming almost to the point of nauseum until somebody says, hey, do that again. We always record with our phones. Sometimes we don't. We get so pissed when we don't because sometimes some of the best spontaneous combustion we've had we miss, but we're really diligent usually about recording parts, and then we share them via email and listen back in our cars, and next time we get back to rehearsal we'll focus on something. Sometimes we'll work on a part for 2-3 weeks, just develop a verse, and we'll sit there. He comes to rehearsals, our singer won't say a word. He just sits there and types lyrics. He bangs around on the piano when we're taking a break. He just analyzes and listens. And then once we have sort of a verse and a chorus and maybe a C-section, a drop, or a turnaround, he'll start saying, hey, guys, play it from beginning to end, just instrumentally, and I'll go home and write some lyrics, right? And so that's kind of been our approach, is really just organic. You guys know, in the rehearsal studio, show up, 6-pack of beer, roll your joint, fucking pray to God you could do something interesting and better than last time.
Cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Got you back there, Eric. I see you, Eric. You're there.
Yeah, I'm here. Now it's kind of frozen, I think, but I'm here. Real quick. So yeah, we've been doing the consistent 2-day a week practice, and that's amazing. It's amazing to get 4 grown men into a studio twice a week. That's very hard to do. And so we've been doing that for Tuesdays and Thursdays, and it's working out. I think we've been pretty consistent enough to where we know already that we don't really need to text each other really or talk to each other. We just know Tuesdays we got to be there around 8:30, and Thursdays we got to be there around 8:30 at night, and we go about till 11. And a lot of the times, like Mike said, it does revolve a little bit around Victor's riff that he came up with that night. Maybe it's something we were working on the previous night, and we just kind of build off each other for that. We never settle for anything, is what I like about us, is if it doesn't sound good, we're just not going to play it like that. So we're going to keep working at it. And surprisingly enough, the 18, 19 total songs that we have are like all beautiful gems to us. We like them. Like the little, we have about like 9 that we play live, and then we have a few other ones that we've been tinkering with and writing and kind of playing around with. And so there's a lot of unheard music that we're just ready to release, and this whole COVID-19 thing just really took a bummer on everyone and kind of put everything at a pause, so
Yeah.
We were ready to go into the studio, actually. We were going to go on kind of going around to different facilities to just show up, meet the engineer, ask, to hear some stuff, see if they're into what we're doing. We're just going to tour around the Bay Area to studios to try to find the place that felt like where we want to do our next release. And then the day we were supposed to go was the day the shelter in place was announced. So we're sitting on an EP ready to record. We'll probably have to brush up on our instruments for a few weeks before we try it again. But yeah, thank you for your question on how we come up with the music.
I think that creates a really good opportunity to be able to digest the songs, explore them, right? I mean, making the most of the time right now with being at home with the shelter in place, right?
Well,
yeah,
it's interesting because I get the feeling there's going to be a lot of bands coming out with a lot of material towards the end of the year.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, we were living life, and I think that original artists need to live life to write good songs. Sometimes if you just write to write, it's a little cliche, trite, and pushed and rushed. I think you have to step away from your instrument at times. You have to step away from trying and go out there and love and be hurt and give of yourself and make mistakes and learn from other people, experience things, and humble yourself. And then all of a sudden, sure enough, if you're living right, you'll get blessed with some inspiration, and that life you've just lived will manifest itself in some way. Because we can't hold it in. We're musicians. This is this conduit. We have to express ourselves. But I think to be our best, sometimes we have to take a step back, go and live, and then let it come organically.
You got to have those stories to tell, and they got to be authentic.
I like the stories you're telling, brother. That's for sure. I'd love to be a fly on the wall in your life there, big man. You got some cool stories. That's for sure.
Now, here's another question for you guys from Matt. What other bands do you consider are typical of the genre? What albums are keeping the flame burning for you musically?
Oh, that's a good one right now. For me, personally, I've been stuck on a lot of Hail the Sun. And I've been listening to them back to back along with Stolas. If you guys know Stolas from Blue Swan Records. They're kind of like the Dance Gavin Dance, but this is a whole different ball game now with like another band called C and Var. So I don't know the name of the albums that I've been stuck on, but their approach of writing music is just wow, man. I didn't think I would be into that kind of deal for me right now, and so I'm exploring this new area that I've never really been kind of exposed to back in the day because it was so Lamb of God and Deftones all day. Now I'm listening to other bands where, man, they attack the riffs and drums, and just writing 10 seconds of a song is so analyzed with them, and I want to analyze my music. I want to be critiquing my music just like they do. So that's been keeping it lit for me when I go practice with Aris, because I kind of feel like if I hear something that I really like from Hail the Sun or C and Var or any of those bands, I hear something I like, I go back and I kind of try to relate what I really liked about that with whatever Victor's playing on the guitar. And sometimes it goes together well and sometimes it doesn't. But that's why we're there at the studio, right? Renting and kind of wasting our time there playing with ideas and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's some original bands are really affecting me. I have a friend, Johnny, and he has a band called Sin Shrift. They're out of Phoenix, and I've been following them, and their style is very interesting to me. Again, no solos, so to speak. I mean, they do have a great rhythm guitars and a gunslinger who can shred and rip, but for them, it's about the songs and their arranging and powerful drums. And so I've been really listening to them a lot and enjoying, how they're approaching their live performances, because they have some couple videos up of some club shots. And I was like, man, that's what I'm after. A room full of people leaning over on the crowd, lights, and you're just, feeling the whole band playing a giant groove. So one of the things that we do in our band is each one of us, has been free to play whatever we want. No one's ever really said to me, hey, can you not do that? Can you do something else? And we don't do that to each other. So we always come up with some unique things and somehow it meshes together. One thing I'd like for us to try to do in the future as we continue to work on where we're going is it'd be great for us to play a groove as a band. We only play a groove for like 2 bars or 4 bars, and then we're all spreading out into our syncopated parts. But when I listen to Sin Shrift, they're just powerful and playing like half a song, just chugging away like a giant bulldozer. To me, that's something I'd like to add to what we're doing, and that's kind of keeping me excited for the next time I show up to rehearsal.
I got one more. I missed one from Nick. It's kind of an interesting question. Has your guys' interests, such as movies or lore, influenced your music?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. Movies, I wouldn't say movies, but I would say more of picture motion videos and stuff, music videos, watching other people's music videos. I think that's kind of inspired me a lot with Aris as far as making music videos for us. If you guys caught, we made a music video for a song called Waves.
Guys, don't let him talk away.
Awesome.
Everything himself with GoPros and some iPhones. And I was like, dude, we ain't got to go nowhere. You're going to do everything for us moving forward. I was
literally like, that was like my first attempt, man. Like when a baby stops crawling and takes a first step from one couch to the other couch, that's what that was for me. I did not expect anything. I thought the guys were going to hate it. I thought we weren't going to post it. And I just said, you know what, man, this is going to be fun to watch 10 years from now when I make another music video and it's way better than this. So let's just post it, put it out. It's great, whatever, screw it, put it out there. And so that's kind of what inspires me a lot with writing with Aris is if I hear something beautiful, I want to see it beautiful. I can imagine it beautiful as well. So I want to see that image, that video, whatever it is. So yeah, man, I think that's a great question. Movies, not so much, but music videos and just having a video over a track is super inspiring to me with stepping in writing music. Definitely.
For me, definitely some movies. I'm a Michael Mann fan. He did a movie with James Caan, Willie Nelson, Jim Belushi's brother. I forgot his name, but Jim Belushi, John Belushi's brother, and. Right. Tuesday Weld. It was called Thief, and he used Tangerine Dream, Jeff Beck, Phil Collins, Bob Seger, used all these people for the soundtrack. And then when I watched that movie, the first 4 or 5 minutes, there's no dialogue. James Caan's driving a Cadillac Eldorado, the road's wet, all the lights are blurred, and you just hear this sequencer electronic Tangerine Dream music in the background slowly getting louder, slowly speeding up in sound, and he's just driving, looking cool and badass, and you're wondering what's going on, right? But and feeling really it's a great marriage, and I really I do get inspired by what a soundtrack does for the visual art, and I think it's really emotion. It's what emotion is the music director or the producer going for, and how is the music reinforcing what you're looking at visually. And so for our band, I know Daniel has some very deep lyrics. I've asked him to type out his lyrics because I am a fan of what he's saying and singing, and I just want to read what he's putting out there. And so I think about what I'm doing on the bass and what effects pedals I'm stepping on. I'm trying to get sort of like a film producer might, music director might be doing in a film, where you reinforce the emotion that Daniel is singing about. What, my chorus going to go on? Do I want some overdrive? Do I step on reverb or delay or both? To try to reinforce the message, what, the dialogue, his movie, that he's singing during our performances. That's the film approach that I go for. So I'm really happy someone asked that question, because I do think about that.
Very cool. Very cool.
Right, and I have a quick question. Michael, you and I talked on the phone a little bit, and you mentioned that you were looking at studios. I think there's more to just recording. There's the work of doing all the writing, finding the right guy to work with, but there's also things you need to do beforehand, right? We talked about it with forms, with certain things to protect your intellectual property. Do you mind talking a little bit about that, since you got some experience with that?
Yeah, I think, nowadays, in the current state of affairs for the music industry, or lack thereof, it's like Amway. It's direct consumer marketing. Business we're all in, folks. A record label with an A&R agent who's going to scout you and give you $40,000 in advance so you could work with some producer, and then you get a video budget, and if you can't sing or play, or you need some clothes, or you got a tooth hanging out, they'll send you to the dentist, and all that's gone, right? You have to do it by yourself now, and you have to think about everything that you do and all your content as something that if you can, without being greedy, get a return on investment in some capacity. And the mechanisms that exist for musicians, artists, writers, authors to get a return on their investment is done through the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, and it's a right we all have as American citizens. You can copyright and trademark your name, your artwork. You can file forms to protect your music and lyrics. And there's a couple of forms in particular that I was talking to Ruben about that I think are really kind of required reading for all artists. 11-year-old girl in her bedroom strumming on her ukulele needs to read it just like anybody else, right? It's really something that drives the mechanical royalties and the publishing and sync licensing of placements of your music in part or in whole back to your bank account, right? And
right.
So, I have a couple of links that I have the web addresses for, and I can kind of screen share them here in a moment. But the two forms that I think are really important to get bands started is really the SR form for sound recording and the PA form for public address. So all of the royalties, all the mechanisms that will come together and get paid out to an artist, musician, is really connected to how you file and protect your intellectual property. It's what it's called, intellectual property. It's really just music to us, but really that's what it's legally called. And, if you look at the Red Hot Chili Peppers or even other bands that do everything and share everything, it'll say words and lyrics by Anthony Kiedis, Chad Smith, John Frusciante, Flea, all their names are on there. But maybe Flea didn't write the lyrics, but Anthony Kiedis is cool saying lyrics by his bandmates. And even though Anthony Kiedis didn't play any instruments, the musicians are cool with letting Anthony Kiedis say music on his forms. So when they submit their forms as a band, everybody gets an equal share. Sometimes, musicians start bands and they're like, it's my song. Yeah, it's your verse and your tired ass chorus, and you didn't even have a turn on or a C section, and all your other songs are also in G minor. So until you met me, I've, blah, 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 right? So the story. Like when you work with other people, you get, it's some of the parts is really the delta there. It's not just one person's vision. So to me, I think filling out these forms gives bands an opportunity to sit down and figure out how are they going to share what they're working on together. Is it equal? Is it really an artist who writes everything and hires hired guns like studio musicians, and you're only going to get paid for your recording or your live performances, and you're not going to get any rights or points on the release if there's publishing? And so that's why I think these forums are important. It begs to ask a lot of questions. It forces you to self-educate, which I think is the best thing any artist and musician can do, is self-educate. Hit that Google bar, type in those questions. There's a guy named Rick Barker. He's all over Instagram right now. He used to be Taylor Swift's first manager, and he worked at a couple record labels, but he's doing a lot of free self-help, giving away a lot of good knowledge. His webinars are really awesome. But he does charge if you want to hire him, but he really gives 1 hour tutorials on how to post, what to do on your social media, how to engage people. And it's hard work, guys. It's not easy to build
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, and stay on it. And it's hard to do from within the band, really, because, you know, you got to agree. Is that picture good? I don't look good there, or don't post that, you know. But back to the original point at hand about intellectual property and the kind of the legal side of the business. The SR form and the PA form from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office are the two forms to start out with. And they have 2 pages of reading before you even fill out the form. They're very informative. They try to force you to call an attorney. USPTO is kind of like, you know, wants you to use an attorney. Not necessary. You can really figure this out on your own. It's not hard. But I welcome you guys to at least allow a screen share if you don't mind. And I'll
Absolutely.
put up the links here and just grab this website and check out this page. Let me share. Did the screen move over?
Yep. There we are.
Yep.
Okay. So up in the top, you can see it says copyright.gov/forms. And this is the form PA.pdf. And, you know, title of the work, you know, the author, you know, this is where you notice there's a big area there. It's the author is going to be everybody in your band if you're sharing things equally. If you don't want your bass player to get paid, don't put him not on there, and then he's going to kick your ass. So you probably want to make sure you're doing this together. If you're doing this as a group, if you're sharing the money as a collective, you want everybody's names on music and lyrics. Everybody's name goes here. I won't scroll down and show you the big form. I'll just click over to the other URL. So you can see the other form, and that is the form SR. And this
SR.
And you know, sound recording is a little bit different than public address. You know, public address is when your music is broadcast, when you're performing, when it's reproduced. Sound recording is when you recorded an album or a music video or something that is going to be replayed somewhere else or licensed out through publishing. So I may have some terms not exactly dialed in. I'm not a music attorney, but from what I've learned over the years, these are the 2 forms that everything is based on: Form SR, Form PA. So that's my contribution to everyone. Hope you grab these websites, and if you need any advice on this or you want these links again, just send an email out and we'll share them.
Well, thank you. Yeah, this is awesome.
Very cool.
Have you guys filled these out for your band, Frantic Romantic?
Yeah, we took care of our copyright stuff before the record came out. We took care of a lot of that stuff, and now we have an attorney that we go to and ask all this stuff because he speaks fluently legalese. So, you know, as opposed to me, which, you know, I educate myself, but it's not what I do. It's not my, you know, what I do for my living. You know.
Hey, Eric, how did we do our first EP release? I know we went through, what was it?
DistroKid, right?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, DistroKid basically it's a great platform that basically you pay their annual fee of, I think it's $20 or something like that. It's not a monthly fee, it's an annual fee. And they put your music on 150 plus platforms, including the big ones like YouTube and Spotify and iTunes, and, you know, all the ones that all the kids are raving about right now. So that's where you can rely on them to kind of get your stuff on that, where it's easy for you to tell your buddy, hey, go on Spotify, we're on Spotify now, you know. So that was really great. And I think our rights are protected with them for now, as long as we're paying that fee. And I think if as soon as we stop paying that fee, then they have no longer, they're not protecting our music at all anymore. Our music's out there floating around. If somebody downloaded a copy of it, I believe, we haven't done the full security that we should have on our stuff, I believe, at the moment. But that's something that we're still working on. And we're not the only Aris out there right now too. So that's another problem. But I mean, a lot of bands have that, right? So it's kind of something you got to get.
I think there was like 8 Nirvanas before Nirvana got signed.
Right.
And I know when
it
you
happens.
When you look up Frantic Romantic, people look up, what is it, Jermaine Stewart, I think, or somebody pops up.
Yeah, Jermaine Stewart.
Right?
Well, it was
he's like a dude, he's like this or something like that with like long hair. It looks cool,
There was an album he put out called Frantic Romantic, yeah.
Right.
I like to tell people that our name is an homage to Jermaine Stewart's fine work.
Stewart.
Yeah.
It's all, the background's purple, his hair's all glowing and shit. And like I said, he's standing like this, all fantastic.
Oh, I gotta look that shit up now.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, that's awesome.
People always ask me, they're like, is Jermaine Stewart in your band? I'm like, no.
People always ask you that, huh?
All the time.
You can always say yes and see who shows up to the gig, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Just say he was sick.
Yeah, speaking of gigs, I mean, this whole shelter in place has really affected so many musicians and artists and music owners.
Venues, right.
I mean, so many of our friends and people that just are the engine for music is kind of on hold, as every industry, right? I mean, who could say they're essential business now? It's really tough, right? So I just maybe take a minute to say, hey, we feel you out there. We're not going to stop. We're going to keep making art, and everyone's going to keep doing what we're born to do. We just got a couple, 2-3 more weeks of this craziness, and then hopefully we should be getting back into the normal and just continue where we left off. We're all survivors. Humans have an incredible ability to overcome. We're an interesting species. So I don't think this is going to knock anybody off their horse. We just got to wait it out.
Right. Yeah. Well said, man. Yeah.
That's for sure.
Well, Michael, Eric, we appreciate you coming on the show. Thanks for coming on here and having a ton of stuff to talk about. We really loved having you on. I'd like to take this moment for you guys to plug any, tell us where we can find your music. Tell us any info you want to share about the band, and otherwise let the audience know.
Yeah, please.
We have a Bandcamp page, actually, which is I could tell you about, and or I could just pull it up if you want to do a screen share.
Sure thing.
Yeah, I think Mike, we should probably give them all the good stuff, like the Spotify, YouTube, Pandora kind of stuff that's out there too. I mean, Bandcamp was kind of where our music first started, kind of being handed out, but then we finally got onto the other bigger platforms, which is great.
I can't find us on Spotify. Somehow I give people our links. I think we're lost in the shuffle.
You have to type in Canvas. Did you type in Canvas too as well?
Yeah. I even have an artist account with Spotify. I can't even find my own band on there.
Yeah, it should be linked even too on the band Instagram. So if you guys want to go to our band Instagram, it's Aris ARIS_music_, and we'll pull up right away with our logo. And you can click on the link inside of the description. I think that'll take you right to all the tracks that we have right now.
Is it a link tree inside your bio or something?
Yeah, on the bio, exactly. Yeah.
And you know what I did? Sorry, 1 sec. On Spotify, if you just type in Blissful Dysfunction, you'll find Aris and you'll find Canvas.
Nice.
Anyways.
So there you go.
Good hack, Michael. Thank you.
Yeah. Me personally right now, just to kind of throw it out there before this is over, I do a lot of daily, weekly, I would say weekly right now, but it's supposed to be daily drum videos all over the internet. I'm always on Instagram. You can find me at It's Always Music. So It's Always Music, all one word, no cases, upcase or spaces or underscores, just It's Always Music. Or Drum Docs basically stands for drum documents, but it's just Drum Docs, all lowercase, one word on Instagram and YouTube. If you YouTube Drum Docs, I'm trying to do more of the vlog style tutorial lesson, chops, drumming, covers, all in one. I always have new video ideas every week, and I'm always in the studio working on them, and I try to film content for every day of the week. So if you do find any of those on YouTube or Instagram, you can keep up with what I'm working on. Some of the drumless tracks that I'm doing, aside from Aris, there's a lot of soul, funk, jazz, reggae stuff that I do on there, and so you guys can catch all of that, man. I'm not stopping with that anytime soon. I actually have schedules in place to make these videos continue to grow. So please, I mean, whatever you guys find on there, just bear with me, but it's just getting started right now, to be honest.
And check out that video that you made, Waves, right?
Waves.
Yeah, Waves.
Yeah, that's a
on
great
YouTube
song. The
as
video
well.
is really cool.
Right.
Yeah,
Get on
man.
YouTube, type in Aris and Waves, and check it out, guys.
Thank you.
Dude, Eric, we may need to hit you up about doing a video with us, man, because I didn't know you did that yourself. That came out really well.
Thank you,
By-
man.
Yeah, by the means that you
We got
use too.
lighting.
That's awesome.
We got good lighting in the studio. It's a great backdrop, high ceilings, good PA.
Yeah,
in
man.
there.
I look back at that video now, and I kind of feel like, man, I could have done this, could have done that. So yeah, if you guys want to shoot music videos, just let me know. I'd love to be a part of any of my 2 cents that I could help with. I would love to just come in and be a fly on the wall with you guys, or help produce it, film it, whatever I can do, man. I would love to be a part of that. It's fun for me. It's satisfying.
Oh yeah,
Awesome,
absolutely.
man. Yeah. Well, gentlemen, it's been really great talking with you guys. I know we can carry
thank you guys
on
so much
probably
for coming
the rest
on.
of the night. Yeah, seriously. We'll have to do
I
this
know
again
these guys
sometime.
know. I know these guys know you, but this is my first time meeting you guys. I really appreciate you coming on and learning about you, and I was glad I got to discover your band. I'm looking forward to finding more music.
And
Thanks so
hey,
much.
to the
Take the
folks out there
opportunity.
on the internet that are viewing and chiming in with questions, thank you very much. We appreciate your audience. We are on every Thursday at 8:30 with a new guest. So yeah, good times.
Yeah, thanks for
Right.
having us, guys. I really appreciate it. And anytime we can do this again, we would love to.
Right?
Yeah, I
Cool,
think
we-
Absolutely.
we should plug our singer Daniel. I think he's been invited to come on.
He's going to be coming on. Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. Absolutely right. Yeah. So we get to hear a little more about the Aris story then, So great.
Yeah,
man.
you'll
We're
get
looking
the
forward to that.
from him.
Yeah. Cool, guys. All right. Well, you guys have a good night.
Hey,
All
thanks so
right,
much.
man.
All
Be
right.
safe, guys.
Later.
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 Good night.